Okay, sorry about that. So, and then as you can see, I took all the heaters out because I had to insulate underneath it. So there's the insulation underneath it over there, and then I got this good insulation stuff. This is for the wires, and I put it over the hoses as well. And this is that's on the wires for the heating. And then I got a huge version of that for the main wires going to the tool head. So I'm not going to have any PCB on my tool head. All the wires, that's why I got so much wire, because everything is going to be wired right down to the main board. So I'm gonna lighten this tool head the way it was by like a pound, like a full pound, because it's only going to have, if I go with one extruder, I may go with two because I have a really good idea for the second one. That's another idea that he gave me from Tiny Machines. It's called the Hextrudort. Like instead of extruder, it has an H in front and a T at the end. Hextrudort, and it's a water-cooled extruder. And there's a version of it that's a direct extrusion, like there's no heat sink or anything, and with it being water cooled, I don't think it needs to have one. I actually contemplated making see this plate right here. This isn't part of the tool head, that just screws in. I thought about making something like that I could mount everything through, and making it watertight with O-rings and liquid cooling right in between the heat block and the extruder. I think that would have been an amazing way to cool and not have to use the fan under high temperature with the, because I mean, I haven't gotten over, even when this was printing and it was over 70 C in here, which it's rated for when I bought it, but I had it over that already. Even when it was, I didn't have temperatures higher than 23 degrees out of the water. The liquid, the coolant, it's a mixture of water and coolant, and this is the cooling system that I've now modified again. This little thing right here, which it was stuck on there, I'm gonna have to glue that. Yeah, that came right off with the wood. I just did the heavy duty Velcro. I'll have to super glue this on there and then it'll stay. But that tells you the temperature when I plug it in, and it shows the water flow. So that has been telling me the temperature, plus I have this water temperature gauge that I've been reading off of just to verify it, and it's been consistently no higher than 23 degrees Celsius. So it's not 21 and a half, 22, that 23 is the highest I've had it, and that was during a pretty significant amount of time printing. So I'm happy with it so far. I'll tip it over and show you the electronics real quick. I'm not quite done, but it does have a new power supply. It does have the main board, obviously I have, but I haven't put it in yet. All the new motors are in, all the new stepper motors. Let's see. I'm gonna have to move some of this stuff too. All right. It's kind of heavy. It's probably like 150 pounds, 140 pounds. Ugh. 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 Okay, so there's the electronics. Oh, by the way, before I even touched any of the electronics, the main board blew. So this board shorted out right over here somewhere. I have no idea why. Nothing touched it. I mean, I disconnected this stuff after when I started taking stuff apart, but I hadn't touched anything. If you guys remember when I first showed you, I wasn't going to touch any of this stuff until I had all the parts, and I didn't. And the last print I was doing, and it was right before I was going to switch out the motors and start changing stuff anyways, so it didn't really matter, but the board fried, and I heard a spark, and I had a little smoke come out the side. So it sparked out and burnt out something, but I haven't even taken the board off yet to find out what it was, but because I'm replacing everything anyway, so I'm not too concerned about it. But I'm wondering if this ribbon cable for the screen up top, I got a new screen that's the same size so I can put it right in its place. I'm wondering if that cable is going to be any good. I ordered a new long one anyways, just in case. It's a 2 meter cable. But so this is a Meanwell power supply. They did have a Meanwell in there already, but it was 200 watt, and this is a 460, so it's more than double the power. This is the high power for the bed and chamber, and I got 3 separate converters similar to this. I don't know if I'm going to keep this or not and add one and just see if it burns out and then use the other 2, because this is for the bed and the chamber, and then I'm going to use my chamber heaters on the other one because I got such a big power supply. So we'll see how that goes. I don't really know how that's gonna work out. I mean, if the main board already blew out, it's probably not likely that's gonna last very long. But it also doesn't look like, I mean, this isn't a Creatbot board, and this one is not. Oh yeah, it does say Creatbot on it. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's my mistake. They did make the board. I don't know. I mean, not that means anything. Hey guys, I just wanted to do a little short clip on how far I am with the progress on the Createbot. So I think I might have mentioned I got some help from a company that offers like a clipper install service, and the guy Kyle that I dealt with, that I've been dealing with, that I talked to today. I mean, he's been tremendously helpful. If you guys ever need help with a project like this, tinymachines.com. The guy's name that I've been talking to is Kyle. I don't know about anybody else there, but he's been awesome. I mean, he knew exactly, like, I called a bunch of places to try to see if I could get some wisdom on Clipper, because, you know, I'm familiar with a lot of the technology in this, but I'm not familiar with that software and this exact hardware, although I'm getting familiar with it, and I had a lot of the pieces. I just didn't have the full puzzle. So he's given me all the pieces I was missing, and he knew of parts that I hadn't even heard of, like this electromagnetic probe that's good up to 115 Celsius, and it literally measures with an electromagnetic pulse of some sort. It's called a beacon. So if any of you guys have heard of it or are interested in it, that's what it's called. If you just look up Beacon, I forget what the name of the company that makes it is, but it's called. You're not going to find any other, homing device for a 3D printer called Beacon. Anyways, if you're interested in it, it's like $100, and I haven't used it yet. But from the speed of it alone, I mean, if it's realistic, it's incredible. It's like you'll be leveling the bed in like 10 seconds. I mean, it's the amount of measurements it takes in 1 second is incredible. So I'm very excited to see that. And so I also found out that Raspberry Pi that I had been programming, totally a waste of time. I didn't even need that Raspberry Pi. What I needed was this little one right here, which I already ordered and got in. It's on the board now. So the board that was on here that came with this, I sent that back. I sent that to Amazon. Obviously, I haven't installed anything still, but I ordered this separate, which I had to order it from this place, Newark in Jersey. Not just the town. It's a company, Newark. But anyways, they got it over to me pretty quick, but it cost me like $100. But I did get a pretty. It's like a quad core with 8 gigs of RAM, I think. And I do have a small antenna to put on it for the Wi-Fi. And I got that, and then so I got a bunch of really good high temperature wire. Like this is one of the 2 stepper extruders, and I got all the wire to run this. I got all the little fittings that you use, the little electrical, PCB clips and plugs, and the things you need to crimp on, and the right kind of crimpers, and all the different gauges of wire, and it's all high temperature wire. And then I insulated the bed on the bottom pretty well. It's pretty thoroughly insulated, and that's the new insulation on the back and on the bottom. It's much thicker, and I'm still going to use some of the insulation that has the bubbles because of the air gap that it'll provide, but mainly I'm going to be using this stuff. I'm gonna have to cut this real short and then just start it right back up because the battery's dying on this camera. So just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. You guys won't even know. It'll take 2 seconds for you. All right, be right back. Guys, just a quick update on how the Creatbot build is going. So I've gotten almost all of the parts. The only thing that I need is, so I've got a lot of heat sources and the original heating board. So I've replaced the power supply, the filter, the main board is coming out, and so is this. I'm going to do that tonight. I'm going to get these out of here because I put heat protection on these wires, and these are going all the way to the motors, and then the extruders are going to have the wires coming all the way down to the main board. There's not going to be any PCB on the tool head. It's going to be, you know, I'm heat proofing it the best I can. Like even the camera, for example, this is the camera and the wire is this long because it's going to have to go through my big, huge, well, it's probably not actually going to go through this. That's why I put the heat protector on this separately. This is a massive heat protection cable that, or cable protector that's going to go on all the wires that go to the actual tool head. For the, I got the beacon for the leveling and the accelerometer. So this is going to be one of the things that has the long USB going to it. And then this is a Hextrudort. This is a liquid cooled extruder. Has a NEMA 14 stepper motor. I have to extend these wires because those won't be long enough, but those wires will be going through. And then I'm going to probably put the two motors, the two extruders on the tool head. I don't know if I'm going to keep them both on, but I'd like to try them both because the BMG one that I have, you know, that I modified to work on this, I think that's going to be a pretty good extruder with the way I have it set up with the liquid cooling I'm going to add to it. And then this is already liquid cooled. This has a liquid cooling setup on it. So everything is liquid cooled. Both of the extruders are going to have liquid cooling. The stepper motors all have liquid cooling throughout on the extruders, everywhere else. And I've got a serious liquid cooling system set up. So this is going to be removed, and I'm going to use, so I have two of these. This is the Inkbird. This can go be up to 380 volts, going down to you know, they're up to 32 volts. So they're going to be or I'm sorry, that's backward. It goes in at up to 32 volts, which is going to come off the power supply, and then it's going to go up to a 120, which these are all 120s. So I'm going to use one for the chamber and one for the bed. Now I have two more additional supplies, things like this for the voltage conversion that are going to be for the 24 volts that I'm adding, because I don't want to have two separate power supplies. This is plenty big for what I am putting in here. That's why I got the 460 watt. So these sets of heaters that I showed you in the previous clips, but these two heaters, these are a high amp draw. So I got 30 amps on each one, and I got two of them. So I'll have 30 amps for each of these, which is more than enough because this is like 300 watt. This is 16 amp. So it'll definitely be using it, but it won't be overdrawing. You know, it'll be enough power for it. So this tube is going to go from where it goes into the tool head, and then I'll have each of these wired individually as they go up through here until they get into the chamber with the thinner protector on each one, and then those will all stop and then go into this one huge one, and you know, they'll overlap a little bit, but they'll be heat protected all the way to the tool head. And I got a new screen. I got a 4.3 inch screen, which is the same as the original, so I'll just replace that directly. This is a Big Tree Tech you know, screen. Obviously I got a long cable for it to put it in, but that's going to go to the board like that. So I'm just putting all the firmware and flashing the card and all that. So that's one less thing I have to do when this is all done and I'm ready to finally, you know, install everything and get it going. But it's Monday, and I think by the end of this week, this thing will be up and running. We'll be printing. It should be printing, I think, I'm hoping for Wednesday or Thursday. but by Friday, I think it should definitely be. So I'm going to air this after it's done. You guys will see when everything's in. But even I got Capricorn tubing for the temperature rating, but I also put that heat wrap on that. I mean, I ended up going through a lot of heat wrap and a lot of insulation on all the temperature stuff that I'm doing to it. But to have a printer that's going to print at that high temperature and make it be reliable, all these high temperature motors, high temperature wires, high temperature wire coverings, high temperature everything, and ways to keep that temperature in so that it's not working too hard, and ways to keep everything protected from it so that it's not deteriorating is going to be that's what's been the challenge. But I think it's going to pay off big time. So I'm excited to see it print and get it working right. I can't believe I'm taking an actual full pound off of the tool head. It's incredible because the whole PCB and enclosure for it right here. This is my tool head. Hold on, let me see what I'm showing you. This is the tool head. So both of these two extruders are coming off. The fan is obviously going to be there. And then that other cooler is going to be on the new stepper motor. That's the old one. This one is staying. So this one is staying. I have a new mount for all of this. So the mount that it's on is coming off. This whole entire thing in the back is coming off and everything inside it. And then these two extruders. And they're getting replaced with this tiny light aluminum one and with this tiny light aluminum one as well, both of which will be liquid cooled. So I'll have a liquid cooler on the front of the other one, and then that one's got liquid cooling built into it. So I don't think I should have any clogging. The actual liquid cooled extruder goes right around the nozzle, right around the heat break. So that's the one I'll be depending on for the more high temperature stuff probably. And then I think for the moderate temperatured stuff, I'll use the BMG. I think that's the way I'll have it set up. But I have 5 stepper drivers and I have all brand new stepper motors for every one. So I'm going to just do the 2 and use them. Yeah, I'm excited to get it finished. So that's just a progress report. I will update you guys again when I'm going to finish a lot of stuff tonight, like the insulating and the extending all the wires so that I don't have to have any PCB on the tool head and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to finish that up tonight and try to get as much as I can wired. And then tomorrow I'll finish, whatever odds and ends I need to. And then Wednesday I'm going to finish the programming with the guy that I have helping me out with the finishing stuff on Clipper. So I'll get back with you guys shortly and you'll see how this thing turns out. All right, thanks. Have a good day, guys. Hey guys, so this is another update on the progress on the Creatbot. So I just did a short clip yesterday, but last night I made a ton of progress. I worked on it until like 4 in the morning. So I've got the tool head in and I have all the wiring running to it. So there's not going to be, if you hadn't seen previously, I'm not putting any PCB on the tool head. Okay, that didn't stop the video, did it? No. Sorry guys, this camera, every time I move something, I seem to touch one of the buttons. There's so many on it. Anyways, so I got the tool head squared away. I got all the wiring running to it, going all the way down to the bottom, extended all the wires, made all the wires, etc. This is the BMG. I decided to mount this way, and it has cooling on the back, and I'm going to put another, I think I'm going to put the other cooling on the side, because it doesn't have a whole lot of room, and I can move the Z back, the Y back a little bit. I just don't want to move it back much because I don't want to lose the printing space as it is. So I'm going to try to just put it on the side here because I think, well, actually in the middle side would be better, but that's where the gear is because that's closer to the hot end. I may actually just machine one that fits this step down and put it right over this part because this is the part that really needs it because that's right where the heat throat's going through. But the throat does go all the way up here. So if I had it right on the front right there, that would be perfect. But I guess maybe I will have to bring the Y back a little bit. We'll see. I'll decide. This one is already water cooled and has that set up, which is awesome. So if I do end up going, that's why this is going to be the primary. If I do end up going down to one to one extruder, which I very well may, but I had two really good extruders. I figured I may as well, you know, take advantage of it, and I have the ability to put two, and I have the motors for two. I mean, this one I had to get a NEMA 14 because it's small, but it's also very light, which is tempting compared to that one, which that one's aluminum too. It's very light. It's just not nearly as light with the smaller motor and the smaller, you know, everything. But it's liquid cooled right where it needs to be. It's like right in the important part. So it's probably going to work very well. This will definitely be best for high temperature. But I would like to see them both work before I take one of them off, which I probably will end up doing, and making a different tool head bracket that will mount just the one in the center. But I'm not going to say that for sure yet. We'll see what happens. But for now, I have all the wires run. This is for the beacon. This is the turbofan. This is for the extruder motor on this one. This one is already plugged. It doesn't unplug. And this is for the heater and thermistor. And then I have separate wires for the heat sources, and pretty much everything's covered in heat shielding. I got all that stuff done last night and got everything mounted to the tool head, and the brackets that I had to make for the end stops, and installed the end stops, and, you know, a lot of threading and tapping, drilling and tapping, and you know, measuring and all that kind of stuff for that, and then a lot of wiring. I was snaking wires through here for a while, making wires, crimping the fittings on wires. So this is pretty much most of my wiring for everything I need out there. This is my Z motor, this is my run out sensor for the right side. This is my run out on the left side. This is my Y motor. This is my X motor, I know that. I made that wire, or no, I'm sorry, this is the extruder, the smaller extruder. That's what I did, I extended that one. Z motor, this is the heat source on the hot end. This is the hot end fan. This is the X stop. This is the exhaust fan. This is the that's the thermistor on the hot end. And then this is I labeled them by motor type on the extruders. I have the NEMA 17 and the NEMA 14 extruder. And then there's a few over here. This is my X motor. This is my X fan. And then I have a couple more that are in the board, but when I take them out and undo the way they have the wires routed, I'll have enough room to wire route them perfectly to where I place the board, which is going to be probably right here. And then I'm going to put the stuff that is going to this board either back there or up here, but I'm going to have some space left over for sure, because the stuff I'm putting in is a lot smaller, so I'm not going to need as much space as they did. But it's nice to have, you know, I have some options, and really all I need to worry about is this belt, because I'm protecting everything under here from the heat, and this piece right here is going to go right there to protect the belt a little bit. But these belts are probably going to get swapped out for belts that are steel internals. So if I do that, then obviously I don't need to worry about any of this. But it can't hurt. I bought the insulation anyway. But I do have a couple other printers that I would like to insulate. Well, I have, yeah, maybe more than one. The QIDI printer, because it's got a heated chamber already, I was thinking about putting a heater or two in there since I got extra, and also insulating it. So I'm probably going to do that. But I'm trying to focus on one thing at a time as far as printers. I'm never focused on one thing, but I'm trying not to focus on too many of the same thing, because that gets confusing. But yeah, this is making really good progress. I'm happy. I think that I'm going to make my goal by the end of the week that I was shooting for, because I'm going to try to work on it again. I have a few more things I have to do today. It's later in the afternoon already, but I have a few more things I'm going to do today that I have to do today. And once I'm finished, I'm going to come back to this, and probably, I'm not staying nearly as late as last night, but I'm probably going to spend a few hours or more, you know, probably 4 or 5 hours, whatever it takes to get everything done except for the programming. And I've done most of the coding, like the flashing is done, most of the stuff that needs to be installed just to get it ready. I just need to code Clipper to be to know where all this stuff is and what's doing what and all that kind of stuff. And that's where I have somebody helping me out. This other stuff is all stuff that I'm capable of. It's more like combining it with the firmware that I'm not familiar with, but I'll get familiar with it. And to see, this is all like, it's good experience. When I learned how to do all this stuff, the low voltage for HVAC and all that kind of stuff, I was intrigued by it, and I was eager to learn, and that's why I got good at it. And honestly, if you're interested in something like this, you're always going to get good at it because you're passionate about it. So when you are, if you can, you should do it, especially if you can do it for a living, because then you never even work a day in your life. It's nice. My life's not like that, so I'm not saying that from experience. It was for a time, but then it got overwhelming and stressful, and it's not anymore. But part of it is I get to do stuff like this on my free time. Anyways, I will update you guys again maybe tomorrow before I do the programming, when everything's done and like the shooters are mounted and everything's completely wired. It's damn close. Definitely I'll finish that part tonight. It'll be fully insulated. All the heaters will be mounted. A few more things to drill and tap for the heaters. I have to make these standoffs a little longer than these. I have to make 4 of them now for the two sides, but I have to make them a little longer. Anyways, I just wanted to update you guys on that. I'm definitely happy with the progress. It's coming out good, and it's coming out, it's making good progress in a short time now that I'm ready to really hammer it, because I was waiting on parts for a week or more. And then I kept ordering different parts and changing things, but now I have everything, and I made all my decisions. For the most part, I have a couple. So I got these 2 things for the high voltage that's already in it. The existing chamber temperature heating element, and then the heat bed are both they're on 120 and 240 volt. So this is an Inkbird that's going to go, it's a 40 amp, and this is going to go from 24 or 3 to 32 rather, to 24 to 380. So I can fulfill the 220 and the 120 on the same, one on each. I got 2 of these. And then I have 2 24 volt of the same thing in 30 amp, because the fan heaters that I got are 16 amp. And then the ceramic heaters that are going to be on the same one with each one of those are, I think those are, they're 300 watt or something. So anyways, it won't be too much for a 30 amp. So I'll be able to supply those off of this 460 watt power supply. That's why I got one that big, obviously, because they had a 200 in here, and they were already doing those original 2 heat sources and everything else that they had going on in here. So, I have almost 2.5 times what they had. So I'm sure it'll be fine. But anyways, we'll find out and see how it goes. Hopefully everything will go smooth. I'll let you guys know. I'll update you soon. But I did get a comment. Somebody else was getting one of these printers, because they are on sale right now for a really good price. I know these used to be a lot more expensive, but I got mine for like $3,500 or something. It was a really reasonable price, but they are older printers. So, if you're going to buy a high-end, not a high-end, like an industrial grade printer that's capable of high temperatures and stuff like that, if you buy something that's going to have what this thing is capable of, with all this stuff done, you're going to be paying 30 grand or at least 20 grand minimum. I mean, for 15, the 22 IDEX that I was really interested in was a good deal at that price for sure, but it's a lot smaller. It is built industrially, but I haven't seen it in person, so I can't say everything 100% sure, but I mean, those guys really know what they're doing, so I would think that it is. And the build area is just a little smaller. The temperatures are I'm probably going to get higher temperatures in this when I'm done, honestly, and I don't think it's liquid cooled either. I could be wrong. I don't remember it being liquid cooled though. But anyways, the point is that you can make it anything you want to make it. There's no instruction manual for this. I'm doing this, one thing at a time, one component at a time, one wire at a time, and I'm figuring it all out on my own. So I don't have it's not like a voron. I don't have a manual. I don't have any company to call that produces this I mean, Creatbot helped me out a little bit, but I'm way out past Creatbot. I don't have anything left of theirs in the printer. I mean, I got a pile of parts on the table over there that are all their stuff. They can't help me with the stuff that's in there now. I mean, that one board that's the 2 boards that are left, those are on their way out. I mean, that's the little bit of wiring I have left to do. But they're almost completely disconnected. So it's just a few wires left that need to be changed over. And then I'll be there. So there's not going to be much left for them to help me with, except, I mean, nothing. There's really nothing. I don't even have one of their motors in it. They're all LDO, high temperature, you know, and most of them are super speed motors, except for the Y and the 2 extruders. I mean, the Z and the 2 extruders. So the two of the axes are the high temperature super speed 1.8, and then I got the 0.9 for the Z and the stepper and the extruder, because they don't need to have, you know, crazy speed. I'd rather have 400 steps in a rotation than 2, because, you know, by going 0.9 instead of 1.8, you have more torque, smaller increments but more torque. And the Z moves incredibly slow, but you need precision. Same thing with the extruder. So the higher precision and less speed, and higher precision, higher torque, and less speed is ideal for those applications. So that's why I chose to do it that way. Anyways, hopefully that makes sense. If not, you guys are more than welcome to ask me any questions that you have anytime you have them. So, you know, don't hesitate if you have any questions or you want to reach out, and I'm happy to collaborate with anybody. If you guys are trying to do this yourself, or if anybody needs a hand doing it or whatever, I'm always happy to help people out. That's why I'm doing these videos. That's why I've done all of them. So if anybody needs a hand and you want to do something like this, I'll be happy to you know, give you what I have. I mean, I'm no expert at this. I'm figuring that out as I go. But you know, I'm no moron either. So if I know something that you don't, I'm happy to share it with you. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon. I appreciate you all, and I'm looking forward to showing you this thing really printing very high temperature, printing peak or PEC or something. I'm going to do a video at the end of it printing PEC. I'm sorry, peak. I have the PEKK too. Peak is the ultimate difficult material to print. So that's why I want to show this printing peak when I'm done, like printing it really well. It may not, I don't even know if it has to go through the annealing process after with the temperatures that I'll be printing it at. I have to look into that. But it may not have to even go through an annealing process at those temperatures. I may have this chamber at 150, 200. So, I mean, it probably doesn't at that temperature. I don't know. I have to research it a little bit more. I know it's got to be incredibly high, but that is pretty darn high. And with the insulation I'm using when I'm finished, I have a feeling it's definitely going to get there. So, I mean, that's what the heaters are giving off. So there's no reason it shouldn't with the proper insulation. And that's why I'm going so aggressively to protect everything and cool everything. But anyways, I'll summarize further in another video. I'm going to shut up and stop talking your ear off. You guys have a good day, and I'll see you in the next section of video. All right, later. Guys, so this should be the last update on this Chrisbot now. It's no longer a Creatbot because there is nothing left in it from being a Creatbot. So I've made a lot of progress. Hopefully the next video, this is the last clip because the next video I'll be showing you it printing. It's that far along now. So hopefully I'll make another clip for you in a few days, because the guy that I have helping me do the clipper stuff and the programming, I should be able to get with him on Monday. Well, tomorrow. It's Sunday already. It's been all week, and part of last week I've been working on this. So it's got everything underneath is all new. You can see I haven't put the main board in yet, but I have it all ready. It's on my desk. I was programming it. I put in clipper and mainsail and all that stuff already. I'm just going to program in all the pins. Every single wire is new. I mean, over here is the pile of crap that came out of the Creatbot. There's all the boards, the main board, the high power board, the smaller board, the PCB from the tool head, the stepper drivers. Everything is out. All the electronics are new. The big ass ribbon cables are over there. And those were replaced by all these wires, which I had to make most of these because nothing was long enough. There's a couple like this one. I'm gonna have to just crimp on new fittings and put a new plug on the end. I already extended it. I just need to cut it and put new fittings and a new plug. Same thing on this small one for the fan. Just a couple stupid little things. Well, this one too, 3 of them. That's just for this fan right here. I actually added that one anyways. That's just to go, there's one here, and that's to bring air all the way through. And then I put one on here, and then I have another one on the actual main board right on top of the heatsink. That I got the extra heatsink for on top of the board. I'll show you in a minute. But so anyways, all this stuff is all brand new. It's all, I even replaced this filter. These are all MOSFETs. These are for the high voltage, the 2 there. Those are for the original bed heater and the original chamber heater. For the 120 volt. This is for the 24 volt. For the additional 4 heaters that I added. These are 40 amps each, so they can take a lot of power. This is a 600 watt power source, and the stepper motors are all changed. They're all the Z motor is an LDO high temperature standard. It's actually not standard. It's a 0.9, and so is the extruder. That's a NEMA 17. One of the extruders is a NEMA 14. That's the Hextrudort, the liquid cooled Hextrudort. That's how they spell it. So there's, and then I have that's a BMG all metal. That was for the Intamsys. That was a tragedy, and I'd made use of it here. I just tapped it and made it fit. This is an M7 that goes into an M6, so I can use any standard, heat block. And then this is a Spider heat block that I tapped through the tool head to go into this, because this Hextrudor doesn't have a way to secure the heat throat into it. So it's a direct drive, and it has a very narrow, it's about as narrow as a 4 millimeter, Capricorn tube of a heat throat that goes into it. So I actually cut that piece and I put it in the top of this, and I machined it to fit perfectly in there, and it fits perfectly inside of this piece, which threads into this tool head. So that threads into there with that piece in the middle, and it sits right inside of the Hextrudor like it's supposed to. So it's tensioned in there now, and I also put a set screw in the side as well, just to be thorough. And then so that has all the liquid cooling's hooked up, everything's hooked up. The only thing left is that one wire right there. That's for the beacon. So I have a couple of mounts. I have to decide which one I'm using. And then the fan is there, but that needs to be hooked up, and the wires run all the way down. I just need to figure out which duct I'm gonna put it on. So I'm gonna do those last couple of things tonight. It's really just the fan and the duct for it, a couple pieces of insulation like here, because I had to move the Z-axis for the water cooling. This was hitting, and these were hitting, so I moved the Z-axis back a little bit, just right there. I just set those screws back a little bit further, and then I had to make a new bracket for the other axis too, for those X and Y axis. If you can see it right up there, that aluminum bracket, I machined that on my CNC, and then I also had to take that bracket off and make it a little longer, so I welded another piece of metal on that was steel, so it was easy. I just cut it and ground it down to bare metal and welded another piece on to make it a little longer. But you see, those are my 2 extra grid heaters in the back, and then the ceramics on each side. There's one up here, up there, and that's the other stepper motor. That's the high speed 1.8. So I did the 0.9 degree steppers on the Z-axis and on the NEMA 17 on the extruder, because they have 400 steps per rotation, which is going to have a little more torque, but it'll be a little slower. But the Z moves very slow, and so does the extruder. So I would rather have the torque. And then I did the high speed 1.8s on the X and Y. So those are the ones that I actually put the 5106 drive. I think they're 5106 drivers. I put the, and then I have the 2209s for the other three. So I put on those two motors, I did, oops, the, 5160, easy 5160. So my X and Y motors are 5160s, drivers right here, boom, boom. And then these three are 2209s. So you can probably see the numbers right there, 5160, and then these are all 2209s. And that's the heat sink that I got for it right here. And, oh, sorry, the heat sink that I got for it right there. And then I put a fan on top of that. And this is the HDMI. I haven't decided, I have like 3 or 4 screens. I don't know which one I'm gonna be able to use because I got a 4.3 Big Tree Tech, which this is all Big Tree Tech, the board and everything. And apparently you can only use the 4.3 with Marlin. So then I ended up getting this 5-inch right here. I got this 5-inch that goes from an HDMI. So I may use this, and then I just in case, that I actually got this 7-inch pad in case I end up having to use that. I'm not sure which one I'm going to use. It's really going to be whichever one works the best. I don't really care about the size as much. I care which one's going to work, and I don't want to get on this call with this guy and not have enough stuff to be able to make something work. So I want to get it done when I get on that call and get this stuff all squared away. And this is the original screen, which obviously I'm not planning on putting back, but it's here in case I need to. And then I actually bought a second board, which I originally got it with all 2209 steppers, and then they sold it with the two higher rated stepper drivers and 3 2209s, and I got that kit because I wanted to get the bigger steppers for those two super speed motors anyway. So that's what I did, and this way if something were to go wrong and the board goes, then I have a backup. But I'm just being a little probably over prepared, but I'd rather be too prepared than not prepared enough, because then something goes wrong and you don't have any backup plan. And I actually ordered a second beacon because I want to put it on the QIDI printer. So that's a Clipper printer, so that can use that. So that's going to be coming in a couple days. I got to learn how to program that. I can do the coding. I just don't. I'm not familiar with doing Clipper programming it. So once I do it once, I'll be able to do it again if I needed to do it again. I actually have a couple of people that may want me to build something like this for them. So if that's the case and I do end up doing it for them, then at least I'll know how to do it. And also a couple of you guys have reached out, and somebody had already ordered one of these and wanted some input, and I'm happy to share any information I get or anything I learn on it. I mean, I wish I was able to find something like that from somebody who had done it or was doing it, so I could get some advice, but I wasn't lucky enough to have that happen. But you guys are, if you see this. I mean, I'm more than willing to share. I'm happy to give you guys whatever information I get. I'm doing this anyways, so it's not like I'm going out of my way to do something I wasn't already doing. I'm happy to share the information I get. Anyways, so if anybody else is doing this or interested in doing it, reach out and I'll help you out. I'll give you whatever I can. But it was a hell of a job. There was probably 3 or 4 nights that I was here till like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning working on this printer, running wires, insulating, doing research, programming the board. It was a lot of work. It was very time consuming, and I have a little bit more insulating to do. I haven't done behind the screen because I haven't decided what screen's going in there. Those couple other spots over there, and then the other side that I have to lift the Z-axis, I have to do those few spots on the same thing on the other side, but mostly it's done. The whole top is done, except for that one part where the screen is. All the side walls are done. It's just the side walls around these side windows on the left and right when it's upright, which next time you see it, it should be upright. So, because once I get that board programmed and installed, I have a mounting bracket for it too. Once I install that and get all the wires connected, I'll be done. So I'll be good to go. Anyways, I'm looking forward to being done with this, honestly, because it's been consuming a lot of my time, frankly, more than I anticipated. I figured I run wires all the time. I figured it's just run some wires, and you know, I mean, I'm doing the best I can with cable organization. It's not done yet, so they're not in their final location, so I can't really organize them as much as I'd like to, but I'm keeping them as organized as I can. I mean, they're pretty organized getting towards where they're going, and the ones that are permanently set, they're pretty organized. So it will be somewhat organized. It won't be a mess, but I'm doing the best I can. I just hate looking at it half done. I just want to finish it. I put so much time into it, to see it like not done is kind of frustrating, but everything is heat shielded. I heat shielded all the liquid cooling. I heat shielded even it's Capricorn tubing, but I still put heat shield over it, and it's pretty heavy heat shielding. This is the main, there's no cable chain. It's this is in place of a cable chain. So this is heavy duty insulated heat. I mean, I put a torch, like a torch lighter to this, and it won't even burn. This is pretty serious stuff. I mean, it doesn't even burn. I mean, it's like a little mark it makes, and then it wipes right off. It's pretty heavy stuff. So anyways, I'm really looking forward to this thing being done and seeing if I can reach the temperatures that I'm aiming for, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to exceed them just by my experience with HVAC and how much temperature I'm getting on these heaters, just going off of a separate adjustable power source that I have. And I was getting 200 Celsius out of the ceramic heaters, and the fan heaters, I actually put better fans that have more CFM coming out of them so it can disperse the heat better. And I also made new spacers to give them a little more room, because I couldn't do that before because of the PCB on the back of the tool head and the enclosure for it, which is why I had to make that new L bracket for the end stop, because the PCB casing was holding that before. But there's no PCB anymore, so that stuff is all heat wrapped and in that big wire sheathing going to the tool head, and then it's wrapped in aluminum tape from the end of that, you know, down into the side where it's going through the filament chamber and into the bottom. Which the filament chamber is going to be hot. It just won't be nearly as hot as the actual chamber. It'll be hotter than it would have been before, but everything's heat shielded anyways, and it's all high temperature wiring also. I mean, even the wires I made, I bought high temperature spools of wire right here. That's all, and then even more over here, different gauges, but it's all high temperature rated wire up to 180 Celsius. So I don't plan on going that hot in there either way, but I just took the extra step. I mean, the heat shielding was like 20 or 25 bucks a roll, and I bought 2 rolls, and I went through one, and you know, this was filled all the way. So it was not all the way, it was like a full spool. So 1.5 maybe, those are like 25 or 30 bucks a roll. And then the heavy stuff was a little more expensive, and you only get like 8 feet of it or something, and it was like 30 or 40 bucks. But I mean, you know, when you get stuff that's resistant to the temperatures that stuff is, then you're going to pay for it. But that's why these printers are expensive. I bet you this is going to be the equivalent of a $30,000 printer, you know, when I'm finished with it, which is right around the corner. So hopefully next video I do, I'm going to end this video of the whole build, because the build is almost done, unless I run into any problems with installing Clipper and all that stuff. Maybe I'll make a short video of that, and I'll do the Clipper stuff on one video, but then the final product maybe I'll put with that. But I'm gonna put this one in the rest of the clips that I've been making throughout the build, and I'll put this up today, and then you guys can see what comes of it after I get Clipper installed and get it printing, and then I'm gonna do a peak print and let you guys see how it prints peak, because that's the goal here is PEC, peak, Ultim. So I'll probably do a print or 2 of each. I'll do something in PEC, I'll do something in peak. I have PEC carbon fiber, so I'll do the PEC carbon fiber first, and then I'll do the peak, because I know peak is a very volatile and troubling material to work with. So I've been getting a lot of advice from people. Like I actually called about a different high temperature printer when I was looking into buying them before I decided to remake this one. And one of the guys I talked to, I told him what I was doing, and that I wasn't buying a high temperature printer, but he's still been staying in touch because he's very interested in what I'm doing, and he's been offering help. He's been asking, what model are you going to print with the Peak? Maybe I can help you out with some advice on if it's going to be a good model for you to try for the first print, or if there's maybe something that would be a little better that I'll. He's been very helpful. He's been tremendously helpful. He's been a surprisingly nice guy. So I actually am looking into a Raise 3D for a double extrusion printer for the IDEX, because the J1S, I did a review on it. You guys can take a look at it. It's not very good. So that's not going to work out for me. So I probably should have, like I said in the description, took my own advice that I usually do take, and you get what you pay for. Or you get what you pay for, and then you pay for modifying it to this extent to make it what you wanted. But if you spend 30 grand in the first place, you don't have to do this. But I think Creatbot could do this differently and get it done for under 10. And still make good money. But I don't know if that's going to happen. But anyways, it is what it is. They'll go down in the future, but for right now, this was a project I felt like doing, so I did it, and hopefully it turns out well, and you guys will see shortly. As soon as I see, you'll see very shortly after. All right, I'll keep you in the loop, and if anybody wants any information on it, feel free to reach out later.